And now, please join me in welcoming our major sponsor, the College of Professional Psychology, known affectionately as COP, and in particular, Lawrence Fong. Lawrence is just going to give you a very quick blurb about his workshops this afternoon. So please join me in welcoming Lawrence Fong from COP.
Thanks very much, Alison. Sorry, I haven't learned the art of standing behind a lectern yet. So please forgive me for that. But let me also just congratulate you, first of all, for choosing psychology as your chosen Sheridan vocation. I think it's a calling that most of us have, and I think it's a career, a vocation, which offers us an incredible amount of possibilities, as we've just been hearing about. And if I look back at my own practice over the last 20-odd years as a practicing psychologist, I've been incredibly privileged to work in sport, in industry, overseas, in Australia, and in clinical practice. And I'm really looking forward to the next 20, 25 years, because I think that the changes are going to be absolutely fantastic. And it's really useful just to take a moment to reflect back on the changes that have occurred over the last 20 years, which is actually not that long a time. When I started, there was no such thing as Facebook, right? Internet, Google, right? Libraries actually had books, right? And, I remember talking to my dad, who was a GP, trying to explain to him about why I wanted to become a psychologist. He just looked at me blankly and said, why don't you do something useful instead? Right? But it's interesting now, Medicare has now come on board. That was a pipe dream 20-odd years ago. Psychologist, as a registered psychologist, you can get a Medicare rebate for the services that you provide as a psychologist, right? That was a pipe dream 20 years ago. So I think if you look into the future, look at the development in neuroscience, in neuroplasticity, and positive psychology, all the areas that we've just been hearing about, I think it augurs incredibly well for a career, a vocation, which is going to be incredibly rich, right? So congratulations for choosing that. And also congratulations to UWS for taking the initiative to put on this expo. Because one of the interesting things is, as at the College of Professional Psychology, we get a lot of phone calls. And these phone calls are from generally students who are distressed, who are generally towards their final years at university, having spent 4 years at university or 3 or 4 years at university, and finding that the pathway, the next direction, is actually a little bit unclear about how to become a registered psychologist. If you take nothing else from this today, remember that the psychology profession and registration as a psychologist is possible. That's what COP is all about. We were established in 1993, so this is our 21st birthday, and over this period of time, hundreds of our graduates are practicing psychologists in a range of industries. And what's particularly interesting is, while we take students from all universities, our largest cohort tends to come from UWS, right? So really acknowledge that, and what who we do take are people who are employable, are practical, want to get their hands dirty, right? So what we've done is we've taken the requirements that Karina Burge from APRA has outlined this morning. It looks complex, it looks confusing, and it is difficult. What we've done is we've taken all those requirements and put it into a structure to ensure, one, that the quality is there, that it's safe for you to do, and it's going to make you employable, right? Our whole program is geared around ensuring consistency with the APRA requirements, and in some cases, it's actually higher, we believe, than the minimum requirements. Right, but we don't apologize for that, because as you practice as a psychologist, you want to be able to demonstrate that professionalism. Now, you do have a number of options in terms of getting a registration, and at 2 o'clock this afternoon, I think it's in G06, I think it is.
We'll just check it out,
and 2:30 as well. I'll be talking about our program and happy to answer any questions that you may have. Obviously, you'll need to compare different programs. It's really important that you make an informed decision, right? It's your career, and you really need to work and find something that fits for you. So, rather than comparing apples with apples, perhaps in light of Renu's YouTube clip this morning, it's comparing grapes with cucumbers and rocks, right? And we'll certainly help you understand that. And also, I've also invited one of our students to come along as well to join me, because obviously we're presenting the program and we may be biased, but it's really important to get a student's perspective. So I've invited someone that you actually know who's a student at COP to actually talk about his experience. Do you know Dr. Martin Daly? He's a student at COP, right? So he'll be talking about his experience, and he'll also be delighted to talk to you about the choices that are available to you. So folks, thanks very much for coming along today. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you in partnership to sponsor this conference. We're absolutely delighted. And whichever pathway you choose, congratulations, there's a fantastic future ahead. Thanks very much.
And just to reiterate, Lawrence is quite correct. He will be presenting from 2 to 2:30 in 2G06, which the workshop areas are just outside. But more about what's happening this afternoon a little bit later on. He'll be presenting 2 to 2:30 and then again at 2:30 to 3. So there'll be two opportunities to hear that workshop. It will be repeated. So thank you very much, Lawrence, for that. Now, I've just seen another face behind that SAP title, and I think we need to say a very special thank you to this lady who, again, has been instrumental in helping us get up and running today. So thank you to Elena Sutcliffe for her work. Here she is down the front. And I've got to keep moving on because I feel that they're all looking at me here down the front, ready to give me the gong, get off.